Hello there, I'm Mary Jo Land, a registered psychotherapist in Priceville, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to the series of videos When We Are Very Young, created to assist parents and professionals who work with parents. Many of the videos pertain to parenting children who have joined families through adoption, foster care, or customary care. Some of the videos are about typical child development, while others are more specific to children who have experienced loss, trauma, or neglect during their early development. Attachment, trauma, and parenting are the main themes in this series. Today's episode is called The Window of Tolerance. So today we're talking about the window of tolerance, or as I sometimes refer to it, Goldilocks and the 3 arousal levels. So today we're combining the work of Stephen Porges and the polyvagal theory and the work of Pat Ogden, who is the person, and her colleagues. They are the people who coined the term window of tolerance. So window of tolerance is just a concept that one uses to help see and understand arousal levels and the behaviors that are natural to arousal levels when a person, a mammal, is under threat. Now, the arousal levels are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. And so we've talked about the bunny story, and we've talked about fight, flight, freeze, which are high arousal, and shutdown, which was low arousal. So what we didn't really talk about is what's in between. And so the window of tolerance is a schematic or a concept that we can use to help us understand the 3 levels of arousal: the just right level of arousal, the too high level, and the too low level. And so we might think about having arousal levels up here, arousal levels in the middle that are just right, and arousal levels that are down here that are too low. So in the middle, we have what's called the window of tolerance. This is the range of arousal level that is most helpful and most optimal for usual day-to-day functioning. In that just right window of arousal, in this not too high, not too low window of arousal, that is where we function when we are calm and when we are alert, when we are able to learn, when we're able to use language and logic. Now, the other important part about that window where we are functioning well, the other important part about that is that if we are there and we have some distress or some threat to our survival, if we can remain in the window, our number one resource for when we are threatened is to reach out and call our attachment figure. So for me in my life, my primary attachment figure is my husband, and so if I was very distressed and I wasn't able to cope with it on my own, the most likely thing I would do right away is call my husband and speak to him, and he would help to re-regulate me and help me to stay in the window. For children, most likely what we want is for them to contact their parent, reach out. Cry, reach, ask, call, text, email, Snapchat, their parent, and reach out and get some help from their parent so that they don't go into survival strategies of fight, flight, freeze, and shut down. If we are threatened, we really want for our prefrontal cortex to remain online and for our system to be thoughtful and mindful and not as reactive. Now, as we get more threatened and we go into a high level of arousal, then we are into fight, flight, freeze. And this survival mode, and in fact all 3 survival modes, are operated by the autonomic nervous system and various branches of the vagal nerve. So high arousal is fight, flight, and freeze. And then if those reactions, those behaviors aren't effective in protecting us, then we might, as in the bunny story, shut right down and go into very low arousal, which is operated by the dorsal vagal nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system. Not that you need to know that, but the important aspect of that is that it is hardwired and it's in all mammals. So here's what we're thinking about. When children are in the window, in this just right level of arousal, where they can think and use logic and use words, that's where they need to be in the classroom, for instance, to learn. That's where they need to be in order to understand causes of their cause and effect, or if you do this, then this will happen. That's cause and effect. So if you keep hitting your brother, you're going to have a timeout. If a child is in the window, they might be able to take that in. Whereas if they're out of the window, either too high or too low, they won't be able to take that in because they're not using language and logic effectively, because they're not using the prefrontal cortex very much. They're using the midbrain and their autonomic nervous system to control the body, which again is not a conscious choice. It's just how mammalian brains and bodies work together to protect us when we're under threat. Now, for children who have experienced early trauma and neglect, what happens is that the window is very narrow. They don't spend a lot of time in the window. Their system is triggered to over-assess threat, and so often they are too high or too low. And our job as parents and therapists is to widen their window of tolerance so that they spend more time in the window, calm and alert, and able to call out and call for help and accept that help when it comes, so that they can stay in the window rather than going into fight, flight, freeze, or shutdown. So that's the window of tolerance, and I hope you liked that tale, because I'm sort of attached to it. I'm Mary Jo Land, and until next time.